If you're interested in becoming a patron to the Over the Bars podcast, go to patreon.com/overthebars, where you can pledge a monthly amount to keep the show running. Don't let the wheels fall off of your favorite podcast. Subscribe today. This episode and all episodes of the Over the Bars podcast are brought to you by Dylan Diornellis, Jesse Anderson, Cole Mayeb, Christopher McKillop, Justin Jones, Dan Bax, Bar2Bar MX in Wichita, Kansas, Donnell's Motorcycles in Independence, Missouri, Nick Peterson's Bikeworks LLC in North Kansas City, and Darttown Arena in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and by fine listeners like you. If you're interested in becoming a subscriber to the Over the Bars podcast for a small monthly amount, although you do not have to because the Over the Bars podcast is in fact free. But if you wish to pledge, go to patreon.com/overthebars. That's patreon.com/overthebars. Multiple levels of pledgerdom are available for a mere $5, $10, and the elite $15 per month. Interested in getting swag packs? Go to patreon.com/overthebars and subscribe. You'll never know what you're going to get. For December, all of our patrons, $10 and up, are going to receive custom, one-off, Over the Bars podcast dog tags for them to wear out and about. In the event of emergency, and should our patron subscribers and Over the Bars podcast listeners perish, upon coroner's examination, it will be known that they are some of the finest podcast subscribers in the world. Thank you again. And thank you, fine listener. Thank you. This is the 26th episode of the Over the Bars podcast. Actually, you know what? I think it's the 27th. I can't remember. Anyway, this is OTB, and this is how we do it. Let's have some fun. OTB, who's this? Yeah, it's the 26th episode. I had to go back and look. Turn the introduction music. Hello to all. I'm Jeff Crutcher, and this is the Over the Bars podcast. It's just me tonight. Michael went out of town racing RC cars this weekend, and so I thought I would give my old buddy Pat Lopez a call. Pat is the former, essentially, brand manager for Von Zipper. I don't know what he's doing now, and we're going to call him, and we're going to find out. So let's give Pilo. You can find him on Instagram at PLO80. Let's give Pilo a call.
Mr. Crutcher.
How do we do, sir?
How's it going, man?
Good, buddy. So you are being recorded. I just want to let you know. that
Awesome.
it's on. Yeah, the red button is on and the light's blinking. So yeah,
Sweet. Yeah. So I feel like I'm in Mexico or something.
like you're being interrogated.
No, man. The Hong Kong bar.
Oh,
Look
okay.
it up.
Okay, I'll Google that. And none of my friends other than you would know of this. So I'm glad that you can teach me the ways.
Yeah.
So,
all good, man. How you doing?
dude, doing well. I am officially done riding and racing dirt bikes for the remainder of the year. As you know, it's Christmas time, and I'm a FedEx guy, so it's like crunch time right now. And the last thing that I want to do is get hurt, so I just stop riding in December.
Yep, that makes sense. It doesn't freeze over or anything like that either. It's a injury thing, or does it get cold?
Well, I mean, ever since global warming has become a thing, like right now, it's like 56 degrees outside, which is absolutely unheard of. It should be, I mean, typical like December weather, lows are in like the 20s every night. And it's been very unseasonably warm the last like 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, if I wanted to see, the thing is, Pat, if I wanted to ride, I could just go south to like Oklahoma, essentially Oklahoma and Texas, which are like, for me, it's the Oklahoma border is about 3 hours, 3.5 hours. So it's like, it's not hard to go ride. And then there's a sand track here in Kansas that's about 2.5 hours away. And they ride pretty much all year as long as if it's above 40 degrees, they'll have open practice.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool, man.
Yeah, have you ever rode in 40-degree weather?
I mean, I think that's the one misconception out here. I have, but it's a different 40 degrees out here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, it gets, out this way.
Yeah.
In California, because even Kaweah Creek, I mean, I've driven there and it's had snow all over it, so.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
but how high up? How high up in the mountain, or what's the elevation at Kaweah? Because I went there one time, and I remember it feeling like it was fairly high.
Yeah, it's 4,000. It's 4,000 plus.
Yeah.
And so I mean, we get crazy cold fronts, because I mean, we kick all the storms off. You know what I mean? Like they come off the ocean, and if they come down from Alaska, man, they're cold. They're no joke,
Pat, you know what I just realized is I don't even know where you live.
Huntington Beach, California, Orange County, the Real Housewives of Orange County.
Dude, that's you. You were probably their neighbor, huh?
The really weird, lame thing is, down that way, down where all those women, I believe the most of them are transplants anyways. But obviously my wife watches that crap. But I mean, where all those people live, there were never even houses there 15 years ago, So I mean, Kobe Bryant, all of a sudden Kobe Bryant's living in Newport Beach. But I mean, these houses were built like in between Laguna Beach and Newport Beach. I mean, they're not even 15 years old, So we got the stigma put on us a little bit. So I mean, nowadays, it used to be, oh, where are you from? I'm from Huntington Beach, Newport Beach. Now you just kind of tell people Orange County.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, okay. I think I know where that's from, So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huntington Beach.
Okay, see, I didn't have it deciphered whether you were from like the Orange County area or if you were in like Sacramento. I don't know why I had that confused.
Yeah. No. I'm a beach kid, man. I come from the beach, and that's what's so funny is a lot of surfers, man, like, you think a surfer cross, it's 20 years old, and that's it's a surfing event essentially put on by Jeremy Albrecht and then Mike Parsons, an old big wave surfer. So I mean, it's a funny little scene you have on the coastline out this way. I mean, I think that's how it is everywhere, but
yeah,
something about being, I mean, Volcom and Billabong and all these big brands. I mean, they started right up above, in Costa Mesa. So I mean, Black Flies and all these different, brands. I mean, they had a lot of guys that, the Nathan Fletchers of the world that could ride a dirt bike or ride a surfboard or ride a skateboard. And so, yeah, kind of growing up this way in the early 90s is when I kind of started riding, late 80s, early 90s. And there's a lot of guys that just really good surfers, really good motocross guys, and they're still doing it,
How old are you, Pat?
I'm going to be 42 in January, so 41.
Don't forget to take your Centrum Silver.
Dude, I literally skip it every other day because I can't believe I have to take that crap. Straight up, man. I need to, for sure.
Yeah. So you've been.
I haven't ridden. I took this weekend off from racing a stupid dirt bike last weekend. I was still feeling it. The bike's ready to go.
Yeah,
but
not you. You need.
I was good.
Yeah, I'm with you. You need a little more recuperation time. Let those grandpa knees heal up.
Yeah, it's almost more like the risk you take. That's part of it too. You're like, okay, you know what? I don't even feel like going that fast this weekend. So it's partially the body and then a little bit of the mind. You feel like you kind of got enough. I feel like I got plenty. 3 straight days of racing last weekend for Day in the Dirt that I kind of got my fix for a minute.
Is that okay? See, now, of all of the things that I know about Day in the Dirt, it's so limited. Practically all I know is that it's a multi-day race at Glen Helen. But other than that, I really have no idea what the actual functions in and out of the event, what they really are.
Yeah. I mean, is that a question, Jeff?
Yeah, that was a question. So what? So okay. So I mean, run me through the weekend of Day in the Dirt.
Okay. Yeah. It's well, number one, it's 20 years old, and I've been doing it, I think, since 2005.
Okay.
I think it was the first time I did it. And growing up, kind of again, growing up down this way. I mean, that's just that, and Mammoth Motocross is it's just a SoCal thing, I guess you could say. Really, it's even not long before I was in the industry. It's you want to do those races, they're cool vibes, and then there's racing to go with it. And with Day in the Dirt, I mean, shoot, it's 20 years old. I mean, and what it is to really give the backstory is, Kenny Alexander, the founder and the owner of Fast House, he's a stuntman, and so 20 years ago, he's friends with all these other, dirt bike guys, and they just got together over the weekend. And Kenny, I apologize if I say this wrong, but they just got together over a weekend 20 years ago, and turned out, a lot of stuntmen, a lot of motocross guys in the industry, and they're just having a good time. And basically it's evolved into what is now a 3-day racing event. I mean, it's a party with racing.
Yeah.
Is the best way to put it. And the reason why it kind of has this, the coolest trophies to just these names. I mean, Lyle Lovett did the, campfire. He was the singer. He sat around a campfire playing his guitar. I think it was 2 or 3 or 4 years before I started it.
Yeah.
Jessica Alba was the trophy girl, I think 15 years ago. And again, it's because you have these really big stuntmen like Dave Castillo and Mouse McCoy and all these legends that, these guys are stunt doubles for the biggest names in Hollywood. And they can obviously ride the shit out of a dirt bike.
Yeah.
So, again, you kind of have, so this weekend now, I mean, they started doing Friday races, which is the open practice. So everybody, people start loading in on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And so you have a lot of people that load in their trailers. They leave, they go do their Thanksgiving. They'll come back out that night, or they'll come back out early Friday morning. And Friday morning, I mean, there's thousands of dirt bikers that are all trying to squeeze through this one little fence to be one of 150 to get some practice on this, 6 minute, 5.5 minutes for the fast guys, lap.
Yeah.
And I think it was about 5 years ago, they were like, you know what? They started this SoCal reunion race. And I think they kind of did it for the old dudes to kind of get in some legit practice. And what it is, it's like Saddleback. If you ever race Saddleback,
no, that
Indian
was
Dunes.
Yeah.
What's that?
That was far before my time.
Yeah, I raced Carlsbad. So
okay.
I I was fortunate enough in '93. I raced. REM used to be out there. I was just on a CR80 and raced some Carlsbad. Back in the day, and that's where I raced. And I just raced for fun. I never took it too serious. We always did pretty good. My crew was always rode pretty well, so we had a good time.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Friday is just a SoCal reunion race. You wear your bib, so it's like, all right, battle with all the other tracks, and then come Saturday, there's a slew of races, man. 30 plus pro-ams for the fast kids. You got team races, the stunt team race. So if you have your SAG card, my buddy's a pro skateboarder, and so I raced with him, because he does stuff in the skateboard world. So I was teammate with him, and you get a scrunchie and one lap on, one lap off, and they just come up. You have a buddy just, Jeff, if you weren't racing it, you grab the scrunchie off his arm, you throw it on mine.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, it's a lot of hungover people racing, and there's kind of beers kind of being spilled everywhere, and not to promote drinking beers and riding, but I'd be lying if I told you that it wasn't a pretty raw event, man. It's old school. It's raw. Sean Palmer to you name it, man. They race this thing, and it's a badass event. They just, like I said, it's the fastest party in town. They always call it, and it's a party with some racing in between. But it's 20 years old, and it's there's really nothing like it as far as I know. The experiences that I have, it's badass, man.
So it's essentially the world's largest local race.
It is, but I've met people to this day. I talk to people from Norway. I've met a lot of international people because, it's been promoted from, Troy Lee through the years. He was a big advocate of the Fast House jerseys, that Kenny first started making and things like that. And that's one thing. Fast House has been around a long time. It just never was motocross gear, but it's been around. And Paul Tracy, the Indy car driver, that dude's raced it. Jeff Ward, he's there every year, So, it does get an international pull. And you get people from, Oklahoma, dude. Like, you get people from Texas. Like, my partner this year, he drove out from Texas. So, it's a local race, but like with anything, whether it's Erzberg, I want to do Erzberg, So, I don't think it's any different, in my opinion, than a race that you might see, nowadays with the world being so small with these handheld devices. Yeah. You get people making the pilgrimage, man, and now it's a vacation for a lot of people. So yeah, it's a local race, but with these damn iPhones, shit,
Yeah, the coverage on it is beyond worldwide. It's you're probably going to start getting, rider entries from other planets even before long.
It's the truth, man. It's the truth,
Yeah. Sometime I would like to do it. I'd like to put that race on my radar, but I know it will be. See, dude, I'm kind of screwed. As long as I'm at FedEx, it's because I'm so low on the seniority list at my station that getting off, like, anytime there's a 4-day work week because of a major holiday, it ain't going to happen. It'll be, 25 years before I'll get that week off. So it's kind of, if I ever want to do stuff on those weeks, I'm going to have to find other avenues of income other than FedEx. But I'm trying to, but it's as long as I'm moving, it's FedEx for now.
All those MOTO stickers, bro. Keep selling those MOTO stickers.
Dude, I'm telling you, the stickers have been unreal. And Pat, what I don't understand is that it is absolute feast or famine with fucking stickers. Like, I will go 2 weeks and I'll get like not an email, not a text message, nothing, no orders. And I'll be sweating it like, okay, well, I guess that's it. Time to pack it up is the way it feels. And then just one day I'll have, no exaggeration, like 6 orders roll in. It's like, fuck, man, I don't have to, it gets so out of control. Let's like right now, I just did today, yesterday and today, between the 2 days, I did 3 personal kits and then an entire a 3 brand dealership here in Kansas City. I'm doing their all their custom kits. So I think what they're gonna start doing is selling is whenever they sell a bike, they'll just include a fucking sticker kit in like the sale price, and then they'll get the guy's name and number, and then they'll shoot me an email with the shipping address. I'll print it off and then send it to the guy that bought the bike, which I mean I'm fucking psyched as shit on, because that's something that I've always wanted to do, is get a dealership. And now it's like, dude, I've got these little, these little goals and little landmarks that I'm starting to like look back on, and like, wow, I'm actually achieving goals that I set out to do. And it's I mean, it was just a thing that dude, I've been in business exactly 1 year. So, to go from like just printing like a little here and a little there. And I mean, I shouldn't say print, but design, because I have other people print. I'm third party all the way. And, having other people do my stuff, dude, it's pretty badass how I've gone from, like 1 kit like every other week until now, like on average, I'm doing a kit a day.
Nice, man. Yeah, if you're in business longer than they look good.
Yeah, and it's I tell you what's so surreal is whenever like I'll go race and I'll be setting in like the staging area, and between the class that's on the gate and then the one that's behind me and then my personal bike, there might be 4 bikes with my stickers on it. And it's like, whoa, dude. And I'm saying like even in like Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, it's a cool feeling, and I'm sure you know what it's like. Is like whenever you were a VZ, you'd go places and probably, I mean, you'd look at every single goggle that everybody's wearing. No?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Hey,
yeah.
So
no, that's cool.
Yeah, so like I don't know how much you want to get into that, but what happened at VZ, dude? I'm on Instagram one day and you're talking about how you need a new job.
I mean, there's so much backstory to it, and honestly, it's like, as much as I'd love to get into it, I really don't want to. Not in a negative way or anything like that, but.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, they're owned by Billabong. I think we've talked about it a little bit. I mean, and just company changes. I mean, there's been a lot of changes there. There's a lot of people that aren't there anymore. So I mean, it was just a corporate layoff. And a restructure of the brand. Really is what it comes down to. And at the end of the day, they're a sunglass company first, and sunglasses have been struggling. So in order to get that bread and butter kind of back for them, they wanted to concentrate on sunglasses. And it was a bit of a shame, just because the MOTO division was the only division that was truly like on a massive growth the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So that's always disheartening. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's run by a big distributor. So I mean, they could do whatever they want to do.
Right.
And that's kind of what went down realistically. I mean, myself and another pretty OG dude, we both been a part of the brand for a long time. You would have thought we were not untouchable. No one's untouchable. I always knew that.
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, you would not have thought it would have been us two, and I think that actually had a lot of a ripple effect, on the brand itself. But at the end of the day, I mean, no hard feelings for the most part. No hard feelings. It is what it is.
I mean, yeah. Whenever you have a company,
we're all trying to get by.
Whenever you have a company that is a sub brand of who owns them? Is it Quicksilver? Pat?
Billabong.
Okay, so yeah, whenever you have a company like Billabong that has fucking stocks and shareholders and shit like that, I mean, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Like anytime that you're working for a sub brand of any company, dude, and I mean, obviously you were in retail, although you were in the behind the curtains operations of retail, how cutthroat it is. And especially whenever you're talking about like a sunglasses brand that like, dude, sunglasses are cool. I mean, how do I say it? It's like I mean, from my like observations, sunglasses in like, dude, like the late 90s and early 2000s, if you did not have like a big obnoxious pair of Arnett's or Spies, like you were wearing garbage. And then, I mean, that's the way it was here. And then,
Yeah.
Spy kind of, I mean, they changed their vibe, and probably the same thing that happened with you is where the company restructured and they lost their core asset, and then now it's dude, the sun market. I mean, it's crazy because like I look at the stuff that's on the VZ website, and there are glasses that are almost the exact same thing at the Quickie Mart on the corner of 31st Street, a quarter mile down the road, for like a tenth of the price. So, I mean, not only are sunglasses companies competing with each other, but then like Chinese manufacturers that are making the same stuff for a tenth of the price that you can get at a gas station.
Oh yeah, and that's a constant battle for all of them. Constant battle.
Yeah.
I mean, cease and desist all over the place. And I mean that's you're right, and that's just how it goes. And we always kind of joked. I mean, the sunglass division in action sports is always the cockroach. That one never really got hit too hard.
Yeah.
Whereas the last few years, it finally did. It finally did. So I mean, that's just how it goes. I mean, there's obviously a lot of good things that were going that were orchestrated by not just me, but I mean, obviously my heart and soul was in it, and that's why at the end of the day, I mean, I can't have a ton of hard feelings. It's not what anybody wanted to do. Well, somebody wanted to do it, but it's not what the core, the founders and everybody, they didn't want it to go that way.
Yeah.
Nobody does.
Right.
But
I understand that. And I mean, how long were you at VZ?
I worked for VZ for almost 5 years.
Dude,
4.5 years.
and
where I ran the MOTO division.
And you and I both know that working for one company in the motocross industry for 5 years is like a lifetime.
Yeah, it is. It is. And then prior to that, I mean, I worked at Transworld. Well, I worked at Answer for 10 months after my 7.5 years at Transworld.
Right.
So from 2005 all the way, I mean, I was their ad rep, so I was always working with John Cuso and whoever else it was, when Von Zipper was, sponsoring the original Yamaha Troy, way back when.
Right.
And J-Lock the championship and things like that. So, I mean, if you look way back in, 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you see all that Von Zipper that's in the magazine, obviously I was, another person involved in getting that stuff, pushed out there. So I've been a part of the brand, since the founder, since they all left Arnett and started Von Zipper, so I mean, the brand's been around a long, long time. So yeah, I mean, and we'll talk after this. I mean, I don't want a lot of this stuff out there, Jeff, to be quite honest with you, because I got a rash in the shit, for even when I called you back after and we talked.
Yeah.
Like, it was not good. Like, it wasn't bad, but I'm a grown fucking man, and so I and it was my division. I dug that thing up. So when you and I talked, after that thing, I mean, essentially, they didn't want anything talked about or anything. And in my mind, they didn't have a right to talk to you or not, I mean, they didn't. It was, I built it, so whatever was going on, it was me. I mean, I was a lone soldier for the most part,
Yeah.
So
I'm with you.
I mean, at the end of it, I mean, whatever you want to kind of, we could talk after the fact or something if you want on what maybe you want to put out there. No different than when I would do interviews at Transworld with people, and we'd always throw the interview to them first. Hey man, like, read it. We want your approval, so to speak. So I guess when it comes to the VZ thing, I mean, shit, I posted my first photo and I'm wearing Oakleys, so I'm waiting for a little bit of like, whoa,
Yeah.
really? You know, like just from that damn Instagram post. You
Yeah,
know,
but aren't they? Are
and,
they? Are they Oakleys or are they Fast House Oakleys?
well, you know, the Oakleys I have on are straight Oakley air brakes.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah. Are so? What are
Yeah,
you
I mean, hey,
doing?
I only wore the Fast House. Like when it all went down, you didn't see me in any other goggle but a Fast House DZ goggle. That was my way of easing out of it, you know.
Yeah, I'm with
Because
you.
I was pretty. You know, if you're brokenhearted, you could get really fucking pissed off too, you know.
Oh
So I
yeah,
guess you could say I was
absolutely.
broken.
So what are you doing
And
now?
along with that, you know, was some serious like kind of what the fucks, you know.
What are you doing now, Pat?
I'm working with Factory Canopies. My buddy Paul, he owns Factory Canopies, which does all like Rockstar Husqvarna and all of Cameron Steele's like off-road stuff. And
Okay.
they're kind of like this little sleeper, you know, canopy brand, and sort of pulling in my roots of, you know, selling advertising. It's a lot like that to me.
I
So
understand. Yeah.
because of my contacts, I've been helping him out, but really I'm not anywhere. I mean, that's just a little side gig. And honestly, man, I've just been chilling with my daughter and surfed a lot this summer. And yeah, so just kind of trying to wait and find my next move, you know?
Yeah, I understand. So, okay, it's funny. The whole reason that I called you is I wanted, okay, what class did you, I saw that you won something at Day in the Dirt, but I didn't understand what it was.
Double A pro, man.
Yeah, fuck yeah, man. Take the top stop on the
Triple A
podium.
pro.
Yeah, AAA pro,
Yeah.
man.
Like, yeah, man. Pro and fucking Schleter had nothing. No, it was, we did the sponsor division. So, you know, being my partner is Bell Rep. Obviously, Bell's a big sponsor
Yeah.
of State Dirt and Fast House. And then, you know, naturally, I've always been a sponsor of the event. And then, again, naturally, I'm going to help them with canopies, you know. So we were in the sponsor division. And normally, man, that division's pretty stacked, you know. But for some reason, I think a few of the Transworld guys weren't there. And there were just a few dudes that would normally, like, you know, my partner, he's pretty fast. Like, he's from Texas, Mark Ollie. And legendary dude. He goes quick, man. And so he got out there good, and he washed out that second or third turn. It's actually on Vital. Frankie Garcia has the helmet cam, and Mark washes out right in front of him. So, I mean, I guess he took out, I think, 4 or 5 people with it. So it kind of held enough people up that, yeah, we had to battle the whole time. And the thing is with Day in the Dirt is you never know where you are. So you just kind of keep your head down and just keep trucking, you know?
So,
And,
how do they
I mean,
how do they do the start? Is there more than one class on the track?
yeah, there's 10 rows, man. Like it's pretty gnarly. Like,
Okay,
so what'll happen is, you know, obviously the pros are, you know, always in the front row, you know? So, you know, you'll start out with pros, experts, then you'll kind of work your way back to like intermediates and whatever else. The sponsor class usually goes pretty quick. So, I mean, we were, I think, the 3rd row.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I mean, it could be anybody though. I mean, the sponsor division could be, I mean, it could be anyone, and you never know. It could be Michael Sleater if he's, you know, if KTM sponsored it or something. So, I mean, you just never know who you're going to battle with in that go-go race. But, I mean, we definitely were going pretty good. I'm pretty stoked. I mean, I've always gotten a lot of seconds there. I've never won, you know, so that was the first time. You know, you just walk up to the little canopy and you look up on the wall and you're like, holy shit, dude, we fucking won, you know, like, no way. Like, no way. You know, I couldn't believe it because we were just head down the whole moto. It's long, you know. You do, I mean, the laps are, for us, I mean, if we were going on a good one, we were about 6 minutes, you know, 6.5, something like that. And then, which the day before I was doing 6:20, 6:25. So, I mean, for whatever reason, man, we were just like going for it, that one. And so, yeah, I mean, it was the sponsor division, but there's a ton. I mean, they have just regular moto divisions, and then it's all broke down too by you just sign up, pro, expert, intermediate, novice, whatever you are, you know. So when you sign up, you already put yourself in a class.
Right.
And then at that point, you just start going in rows. But the problem is if you sign up kind of late, damn, you'll be in the second row of, say, your expert or intermediate class.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's a bummer. You'll watch that row go, and then naturally they have to wait a minute, make sure everybody gets through clean. And then, okay, hand on the visor, live engine, they go down the road, and then boom, they'll go again. But a lot of times, man, if you're not in that first row of your class, man, you're 30 seconds behind already.
How long of a race is it?
I think the team races are an hour. I want to say an hour, maybe an hour and 15.
Okay, so it's a man's race for sure.
Oh, it's no joke. Yeah, and then I think individual are 45, depending on. I mean, honestly, kind of depending on if people like ate shit, got hurt throughout the day. You know that goes. So I mean, if they're having to play catch up, I think they'll go down to 30.
Yeah.
But if it's going almost straight Grand Prix, 45 minutes, I think, 40 minutes, something like that.
Dude,
it's Glen Helen, man.
Yeah.
Nasty.
That same weekend that you did there in the dirt, I went to this a race in Arkansas called the Riverfront GP, and it's pure sand, and it's a 2-hour woods race, so it's a hare scramble, and I mean, dude. The closest thing to like compare it to would be like the Havasu Works race as far as like surface. Dude, it's no freaking joke, man. I mean, it was gnarly. I finished at like 2 hours and 12 minutes, and I had to pit once. My buddy Cole loaned me a 3.5 gallon tank, and I mean, I pretty much burned every bit of 3 gallons. I mean, you essentially burn a gallon a lap. So it's a 12-mile. Imagine like a 12-mile motocross track in the woods of just sand. And
so gnarly.
Oh my God, dude, it's unbelievable. Yeah. And I've never ran an oversized gas tank before, like ever. So and I don't know what it was about that tank that I was using. I think the little breather valve that lets the fuel come in, that lets the air come in, it wasn't on the gas cap. It had a little brass fitting off to the side. And dude, I got a 4th place start. There was like 16 pro riders. I got a 4th place start, sent it into the woods, and we were running a quick pace. But dude, for like the first minute or so, my bike was just like running like dog shit. And I was like, oh no, like what is going on? And like, when I was warming it up, it was running just fine, but it was sitting on the stand. Well, what was happening was so much gas was like sloshing up into that air valve that it was, dude, the bike was vapor locking because the gas couldn't escape out of the hose and the air come in, because that's how much gas you're using, like right off of the bat. It's enough, like in the woods even, where you can feel the bike vapor lock. And I don't know how, Pat, as it was, because I've never had a bike vapor lock before, but I've talked to dudes that have had it happen, and it just clicked, and I was like, oh fuck, I gotta yank this hose. So like I'm third gear pin going through sand rollers, and I reached down and I pulled off the vent hose and threw it. And dude, once that happened, I was getting splashed with gas so fucking bad for like a solid 15 minutes. So, I mean, the set of gear that I wore is pretty much ruined. Like, it is permanently gaseous. And, I mean, I was freaked the fuck out because I was like, dude, I'm going to run out of gas, like on the first lap, because of how much gas was flying out of the little valve. And, but once it got kind of down further into the tank, once I burned off a little bit and it splashed out, it was fine, and it quit splashing out of the top of the tank. But dude, I thought for sure that my race was over before it even began, really.
That's a long one, man. I don't think I've ever raced that long.
You've never done a 2-hour race?
No, I mean, they finish which is the final death glow is what it means. And they used to do it for 90 minutes, an hour and a half. So I think I did an hour and a half or hour and 40 years ago. But they started this once it went to, because, you know, people are splattering, man. Like, getting kind of gnarly. So, but no, I haven't done like a straight 2 hour. No, I haven't. I mean, I love off-road. I mean, that's what I grew up riding, is off-road stuff. But as far as just hammering down for 2 hours, no, I've yet to do that.
It's a next level deal, dude. My hands are still healing up. Like the blisters that I was actually pretty satisfied. I only got one blister on my left hand, and that was, I don't grip the bike with my hands like at all compared to like an average rider. So I got actually a blister on my palm. It wasn't even like on where, like, you know, your fingers attach into your hand in like the normal blister spot. I got it on my palm because I don't hang on, dude. Like if you ever see photos of me riding, I have a loose grip. There's a fucking photo of me down there at the race, and I'm going through this right-handed sand corner, and dude, my left hand isn't even on the. I mean, like it's like a quarter of an inch off of the bars. And I wasn't like intentionally letting go of the bars. I was just riding that way. So the blisters were not really a factor, but dude, after like an hour and a half, dude, I fucking battled with this guy. No exaggeration, for over an hour, where we were like wheel to wheel in the woods, in the sand, and he would fucking outfox me in the woods, and then we'd get out into like the open areas and I'd hang it out. You know, I mean, it was so evident that I was a moto guy, because we'd be going through the sand rollers and I'd be like, you know, bouncing off the top of them and like tripling and quadding these, you know, I mean, dude, Pat, it's no joke. Like, some of them will get up to like 4, 5, 6 foot tall sand rollers where you're like, you know, first lap, you'll be going through fourth gear completely taped open. But then by the last lap, you're literally second gear, just doubling through, trying not to get swallowed. And I mean, I'll send those things super far. And like, I would jump past this dude, or like, you know, skim some of them like they were actual like supercross whoops. And I mean, I would pull the woods guys super, super hard in the sand. But then as soon as we got into the woods, I was like fogging it up real bad. Like they could, you know, they were trying to get around me, and they could outfox me, but I mean, I was going just fast enough to where they couldn't like just outright pass me. But I ended up sixth, and there was 18 of us, I believe, and of course they paid to fifth. So my fucking heart was broken whenever we go up to check the results.
Yeah, those woods guys are gnarly, man. I remember going out to North Carolina one time and riding some wood stuff, and they had this woods loop, and damn, I couldn't believe it. I don't give a shit if your bars are cut or not. Like, damn, these guys were going for it, man. Like,
it's a common misconception about like East Coast woods guys, about them being like super technical and, you know, like riding third gear, you know, third and fourth gear through the woods, just like boop, boop, boop. Dude, if you watch fucking GNCC videos like Caleb Russell and company, and those guys are on 450s, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, like hitting the rev limiter, bouncing off of trees, fucking, you know, near miss after near miss. It's a cool form of racing that I feel like actually doesn't get enough credit.
Oh, and it never will. You're like, I mean, I don't know how it will, but as far as I know, no. I mean, you wrap yourself around one of those little skinny ass trees, like, it's over. Like, it's over. It's just like, dude, yeah, fly me out of there, dude.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
So what's your next? Gnarly. What's your next? How often do you like go? Because I know you ride pretty regularly, but how often do you race?
You know what? I mean, lately, I mean, I have a 7-year-old daughter. I mean, so I mean, really, like, since I had her, and snapping the crap out of my leg like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
I'll race Mammoth in June. In between June and November, you know, I'll do some Transworld races with my friends.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
Like, So I'll race a few, nowadays I'll race a few times a year. I guess you'd say, if I had to really look back at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll race transit races. I'll go do intermediate out here. They just have vet intermediate, but it just goes vet pro. There's no like expert or anything. So,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously California has, everyone goes at a pretty good pace out this way. So even if you're out at the track, out here, wherever you want to go, if you want to get some, you could go to Milestone on a Wednesday and literally feel like you're racing and just go out there and throw down a 20-minute moto with some fast dudes, and, I've been racing, I think when I literally turned 25, I think that's when I started racing, I think more regularly.
Yeah.
I always grew up kind of racing, but just purely for fun. And I think once I turned 25, 28, I think when the junior vet and even the vet stuff started out here, that's where I've been racing some of these guys now for 15 plus years. Like, so we might even link up on a track and just kind of battle it out. So, I mean, realistically, a few times a year now, but when I do it, it's kind of on, like,
yeah,
like in the dirt and mammoths, there's all the coolest trophies and a lot of bragging rights out here. So, I mean, you do well out in those, and you can kind of show up at the track and just kind of say, whatever, dude, if I show up at a travel race, what's going to happen, So,
have you ever raced for money on a practice day?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
no.
Okay. See, that's kind of that's I've been known to call kids out on
full shark style, like full shark style.
Yeah, dude, like I will post publicly, like I'll find these kids on Instagram that are just video pros that, I can sniff out bullshit pretty quickly. So like whenever I see a kid with like a lit kit and, swag style, and he's doing fucking one-leggers over every other jump, and I'm like, okay, dude, like I see that you have the style, but do you have like actual skill? Like, can you ride that pace for 3 laps? And it's pretty easy to figure out, with the power of the MX Sports website. It's pretty easy to figure out if somebody is actually fast or if they are just cool on Instagram. And I've been known to throw a couple $100 around and drive to fucking Texas or Iowa or wherever and go race with kids on I say kids. I keep forgetting that I'm almost 30 years old. But it's like I'll race for money on practice day, dude. And I think that of all the types of music of racing that I get off on, that's it, is like head to head, man on man, like let's go out and fucking duke this shit out. And then, like I might I'll act tough before and kind of run my mouth, but then after it's all over with, then it's, it's buddy buddy. But yeah, I'm not afraid to lay some money down. And like on if I'll go to the practice track and there'll be like 5 or 6 A riders, I'll be like, hey guys, let's just all throw $5 into a hat and go run a 5-lap moto, and whoever wins gets to take the money home. And I'll usually get some takers on that too. That's one of my absolute favorite things to do because whenever you go race, man, I fucking love racing so much, but there are days whenever it is so hard to get motivated to wake up at 6 o'clock, be at the track at 7, sign up, do shitty, ride a shitty track in practice, then go out and ride my first moto at 11, and then don't see the track again until 3. And but if you go on a practice day, then you get to ride all day, but you don't really get that competitive edge. It's just, how cleanly you can do all your own, how cleanly you can make your marks. And so it's fun to link up with somebody. And like, dude, I'll fucking threaten kids that are B riders too. I don't give a shit. I don't care if you're 50. I don't give a fuck if you're 15 years old or 45 years old. If you're out there and you're doing hot laps, I'll put 10 or 15 bucks down and see, who's willing to quit acting like the shit. And it's
that's awesome.
And
that's awesome.
Fucking people, dude, there is nothing, and Pat, I'm saying nothing that gets under my skin more than whenever B riders talk about lap times especially on race day. And it's like, these kids would be like, yeah, dude, I was doing 133s, and, whoever was winning the A class was running, 134s. So I think I could probably win the A class. And I'm like,
oh, I hate that shit.
You little fucking punk. That shit. Dude, it's so easy. Just line up with us. And the whole like prestige of being a fucking undiscovered B rider. I don't know how it is out there, and maybe you see this, but do you just have like hordes of kids that like pretend that they are the next big thing and that they haven't been groomed or haven't been scouted yet, and it's like they're up next, but they're running a bike with a pipe and no graphics, and there's just a fucking pro rider on practice day, but they never race. Or if they do, dude, it gets under my skin so bad how like people are all talk, especially now that the internet is what it is. And yet,
obviously, we have that out here. I mean, racing, I think, is just taking such a hit. I think with the, we could talk about money all day long, but I mean, realistically, the amount of money it costs, like everything, for how little you ride, I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, Grand Prix are pretty rad. I mean, that's where some bad dudes are out here, these Grand Prix and these off-road dudes. I mean, these 2-hour races we were talking about. I mean, I see that as like, I wouldn't say getting more popular, because Transworld's done a hell of a job at getting like the exposure up. Mm-hmm. And then people now go race those, But, and so, you have some pretty fast dudes in those things. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, before Transworld came in and bought the VetX series, I mean, damn, dude, like people weren't racing dirt bikes. It just wasn't worth it. I mean, they would just wait and do Loretta's or do some of the bigger, Dodge Nationals up north. And realistically, I mean, you show up at RAM and you battle Weston Pike one day. Who knows? I mean, you show up to RAM and that's almost all you have to do out here.
Yeah.
If you want to be discovered, go show up to RAM, dude.
Yeah.
And go throw down a 20 on that shitty ass track. And if you're going fast, you'll probably get a ride, dude. Like, you don't have to even bounce around series or anything like that. I mean, it's kind of the truth, And again, it's where everything's out. A lot of companies and industry people with that have the power, they're out there. They could do that. But
but on the other hand,
I think with anything, right, it's always potential. That's the biggest thing, right? What's that?
How many people, I mean, okay, like Southern California has like the prestige of being like the motocross capital of the world. But like, if you look at entry lists, how many fast kids are actually coming out of Southern California? I feel like it's very few.
Nowadays, I believe it absolutely is,
Yeah.
It's the truth, but I mean, out of Southern California, but obviously, you've got the Dylan Schwartz, who's coming up. I mean, that kid's from, I guess you could say it's Southern California. He's Alpine, it's inland San Diego. I mean, you obviously have Ryder DeFrancisco. And so there's definitely some coming out of California, Jesse, Jesse came out of here and, up north still. But I mean, it's not like they used to be. I mean, look at Justin Cooper. I mean, he came out here. He had never even ridden Mammoth. And Mammoth is not an easy motocross track to ride, especially for someone coming from the East Coast. And that motherfucker was on it, dude, and just waxing everyone, So, I mean, you look at someone like that, it's like that cornbread, that corn-fed kind of kid, There's something to say about it, But obviously then you see a lot of technique out here, too. And, I mean, Mitch Payton's always said, the one thing you can't teach is speed. So, I mean, you could have a kid if he is running a 133 and he's not a punk, and you could tell, like, God, we just need to get this kid in shape, I mean, get him to do more than a few laps, then it's there, So I think the one thing that we do have out this way is just like anything. I mean, you're almost 30 years old. When I grew up, there wasn't any YouTube. I had to put a VHS tape in and watch Supercross to see how it's done. I mean, I think a lot of individual sports, whether it's motocross, skateboarding, surfing, snowboarding, it's visual. You know, it's not a thing that you can't teach it. It's not like, here's how you throw the ball. No, dude, you have to watch it. And so I think the fact that, you know, you have YouTube and things like that, that's awesome. But at least out here, man, you show up again, you go to Milestone on a Wednesday or something, literally just from a sheer technique, line choice, everything, you get to see it from like 25 different people.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. I understand what you're
and again,
saying.
you might not even know who it is. So I think if there's anything that we're lucky to have, and I don't know how it's like anywhere else, I kind of do, but the one thing I always remember when I was skateboarding a lot is that, I mean, dude, you could go watch Ryan Sheckler skateboard when, you know, back in the day, you could show up to Vans and see Steve Caballero and the gnarliest skateboarders. You could go to the beach, watch the gnarliest surfers. You could go to Snow Summit and watch the gnarliest snowboarders, like a lot of them, not just 3 of them.
Right.
You know, you'll have there's 10 dudes or 12 dudes that are hauling ass out here, you know? So it's like, and I think that's probably the biggest difference is just the sheer number of the higher caliber guys, you know? And that's what I noticed. Because trust me, yeah, you show up to a rando track in Connecticut, some dude's hauling ass. Like there's 1 or 2 of them that, yeah, just line up to Mammoth or Day in the Dirt or something. He's probably going to do really well, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
But he's got to battle probably 7 or 8 dudes, you know?
Yeah, I'm with you.
To do it. So I don't know. I mean, but no, I mean, you know, I've been to Loretta's. I think last year was the first year I didn't go to Loretta's. I unfortunately, the one time I was going to race it, I broke my arm. But you know, I've been out there and seen a lot of it. And yeah, man, I mean, these kids are coming from all over. You know, all over. There's no question about it.
Hey, let me ask you this to kind of close it out. So, as being a guy that was in, you know, like so closely in the industry for so long, and you know, working with a company that like does, you know, always had like a rider support team. What is it that like? Okay, so whenever you were doing like the Hook It sponsorships for VZ, what was it that you would like that you would look for? Because like with me, you know, I'm like, it's more about my you know, my personality. Like, yeah, you know, I can go out and ride and like I can win races if I want to, but I don't really want to anymore. And so like I don't just have like results stacked up. But I'm also not like an Instagram like king by any means. So and I'm not asking you to like be like, what did you like about me? But like, what is it that he, you know, you were into? What did you look for like as like the guy handing out sponsorships to you know, your brand?
You know what? Truly the first thing I looked for was participation. I mean, it really was like a lot of those guys on Hook It, they don't have a race result. I can't pull up their Instagram and see that, you know, they lined up, you know, like going back to that conversation we were having, I might not get a sponsorship anymore because I'm not lining up at REM every weekend like I used to,
Yeah.
you know, but myself back in the day when I was lining up all the time and I was buying a lot of product and I was involved. I think just being involved in racing was probably the first thing that really got me excited. It wasn't so much like, oh, let me see how good this guy is now. It was more just like, hell yeah, little man. Like, you're getting after it, dude. Like, you're racing a lot. That's really cool.
Yeah.
You know, and because there's a lot of weekend warrior people that ride motorcycles. Those guys go buy goggles and they buy tires, they buy chains. They don't even know what the hell Hook It is.
Yeah.
They probably don't even know to go race the motorcycle at all. So it's a different niche of a niche. And so when I saw someone, you know, involved in racing, I immediately had respect for them. And it didn't matter how old they were. You know, it really didn't. And then from there, you know, I only had 2 levels of sponsorship, you know, and from there it was just like, okay, like, is this guy just too young? When they were young, you almost had to be a certain age for me to even like give the top tier. It was like, that's where I kind of was my hazing, you know, it's like, okay, you don't get the big sponsorship yet, dude, because I don't know if your parents are keeping you in check or not. So I'll just keep you in check the best I can.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I would just kind of automatically do the lower tier. And if it was an older kind of dude or whatever, and thought like, man, look, he's got a lot of sponsors, allies of mine. Oh, he rides for Bell. Oh, ODI, like guys that I already like work with, and I could pick up the phone and go, dude, I got Dylan Schwartz. Here's the story. I got Dylan Schwartz from Hook It. I knew he hauled ass, and I don't know if you know who Dylan Schwartz is, but he's gnarly. He rides for Factory California,
Right.
And like,
yeah.
I got him from freaking Hook It, and like he was just a kid that I always knew was fast. I hooked him up at Answer, or somebody had him on Answer before I got there, so I got to know them. And then I'm like, man, this kid's just buying goggles, So trust me, after 1 year, I'm like, hey, dude, you're on the Flow program, like. But there's guys that like, I mean, you'd be real surprised at like the gems you'll find from that. I mean, you really would. And but at the end of the day, it really came down to that brotherhood, that brotherhood. And you can just tell, when you've been doing it as long as say you have, or certain people, you could just look at a profile, look at an Instagram and go, oh man, like a video and go, yeah, kid's got some style, like, or whatever it may be. And then it depends what brand you are, I mean, for us, I needed to get goggles on helmets, as much as I wanted to get goggles on helmets through a dealership. I mean, the retail landscape, as you know, it will never be the same. And
right.
It is not it's not going to get any better, say, on just the brick and mortar side. I mean, if you own a store, you really got to get your online game going. You probably got to get your own rider support going. And that's a lot of the things I did. A lot of the things I did was, if it said, oh, I ride for Ajax Motorsports, I called Ajax and I said, who is Jeff Crutcher? Oh, he's a rad dude. I said, well, I was about to give him this discount. What do you give him for parts? Well, I give him this. Well, how about we meet in the middle? I'll help him out and you can help him out with goggles through you. So I did everything in my power, piece by piece, to keep the retail side strong via, I always asked who you rode for. I think you're the only one I literally didn't. I swear to God. And we talked about that.
Yeah.
I swear to God. But at the end of the day, it was just that involvement, because there's not a lot of us anymore, There's a lot of fair weather dirt bikers, and 2008 wiped them out.
Yeah, absolutely. But what's so odd, though, Pat, is that the power sports industry has bounced back and it's better than ever. Meanwhile, motocross is struggling.
Yeah, right. I mean, I have an opinion on that. I do. I mean, these motorcycles are no joke these days, man. I mean, I grew up on two strokes, and you pretty much run out of a crash back in the day, and these days, I mean, you're going to get slapped down like freaking Godzilla just had you by the feet and tossed you into the ground, So, I mean, I really believe when you have pro level riders in AMA Supercross or AMA Motocross legitimately just going, you know what? I'm going to back it down.
Yeah.
That's pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
Like, these dudes, I mean, we all know they detune the bikes, but at the end of the day, man, these guys, they want to go back to the truck, dude. Like, you know what I mean? And that's pretty gnarly when you have guys that are that gnarly, that skilled, that are literally just going in their mind, going, you know what? I think I just want to like bring this sucker home. And I think there's few and far between that, are willing to just like risk it. And I'm not going to blame the bikes. It's not a 4-stroke, 2-stroke thing, but I mean, these things are damn Harley Davidsons, dude. Like,
yeah. And I mean, whenever
Harley, dude.
Whenever you mix in our culture's perception of injury and safety, and how, a lot of parents are raising their kids in a bubble or a roll cage, then like whenever the time does come where, families want to get into some type of motorsport, if they're, mechanically inclined and they want to be that way, I feel like it's a lot easier to just go to your Yamaha dealership and pick up a Razor that, or not a Razor, whatever Rhino that seats four, that seats the whole family, and it costs $15,000. Whereas you buy one dirt bike, and you're out, 10 grand after taxes and fees. So it's, and plus the dirt bike doesn't have a roll cage or seat belts on it, and it's, there are less and less places to ride it. Now, why that is, I mean, I think it's kind of, not only
No,
is,
you're right.
I mean, not
You're
only
right.
is it the tail wagging the dog, but also it's like a cat chasing its own tail. Like, we can sit here and speculate and say, oh, it's this or that, or it's 2 strokes, or it's 4 strokes, or the kids don't go outside and play anymore, or moms don't want their kids getting hurt. And it's like, I hate whenever I read, especially on like Vital, or like at the motocross track, even whenever people are like coming up with these opinions where it's like, yeah, you can't paint it in broad strokes and just say, oh, it's this one thing. It's because America is becoming pussies, or it's because, X, Y, or Z reason. I think it's an equation of all factors, combined. And as an industry, as a sport, and dude, I don't know, I don't know what I can do to get new people into motocross racing, because to get into it, number one, you got to have a pickup truck. And number two is then you have to go and buy a $10,000 dirt bike, unless you're buying something used. And even then, it's hard to like convince somebody. I don't know. You and I both understand where that goes. But
Yeah.
then the time investment and the risk, that's another deal. But it's such a it's such a steep curve to go from Joe Schmo to weekend warrior. And so what I'm trying to do, like me, is encourage the people that are already in the sport to continue being in the sport and doing the most. That every person that has a dirt bike is a representative of the power sports culture. And I want people to keep participating. I want guys to show up for local motocross races. I want people going to the track. It's like, I want other people to share my level of enthusiasm for our sport. And that's essentially why I started this podcast, is because so much of it is, I love motocross. I want to talk about motocross. I'm going to call all of my friends and get my friends to come in, and we're just going to shoot the shit about motocross. And then, we have thousands of listeners worldwide that listen to this show.
Yeah.
And it's because they love motocross just as much as you and I do. And they, whenever they're sitting at work, grinding away graphite on paper, then they're listening to, our show. And it's cool. And like, my thing is just keep going to the track, do whatever it takes to keep your tracks open, be a positive representative of, our culture. And like, I know that this is kind of going extreme, but like, dude, whenever I have my dirt bike in the back of my truck and I'm driving somewhere, I don't drive like an asshole. Like, I make an intentional point to like not be that guy that's, the fucking guy with the dirt bike in the back of the truck that thinks that he's racing at all times. Not me. And I also wish that people on street bikes would not ride like dickheads also, because that is motorcycling culture. And whenever you've got people bobbing back and forth at 115 mile an hour through rush hour, it really negatively affects our entire culture. Whenever, Steve, who's driving on his way home from work, the only interaction with a motorcycle he has is whenever the dude just took his mirror off. And, that guy, whenever he's at home flipping through Fox Sports and he sees that Supercross is on, the first thing that he's going to think of is that dickhead that ran him off of the road because the guy was going, and it's, it all equates together, and I don't know what our industry can do to kind of keep it from killing itself.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is truly just getting people on them and to see the culture. I mean, if we go back, real quick, I know we're wrapping it up. My daughter's starving as well, but I mean, realistically, it's like, I remember the first time I went to a dirt bike track and, And, again, growing up surfing, my whole life and things like that. I mean, I tip over in a corner, and I have what, 1, 2, 3 people. Hey man, you good? You good? Like stopping, like, you all good? They don't know if I washed. They don't know what happened. They don't even know who I am. But like, they all were looking out. I mean, it was like, whoa, yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Like, wow, thanks, man. And then when you need a tube, I mean, we've all experienced this. Like, someone gives you a tube, you try to give them money. They're like, no, man, go buy a tube. And when somebody else needs one, give it to them. You're like,
yeah,
holy shit. Like, really? And it's like, so it's those like two things that I could think of right now that literally like got me from the skateboarding industry and the surfing industry, like into the motocross industry, just that brotherhood. And I think anytime someone experiences dirt biking, especially at a track in a controlled area, they realize they see that like that brotherhood that's there. It's not, it's competitive too, so it's not always perfect, but for the most part, I mean, and it just passes on, and you pass on that culture and that respect. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've always taken away from it. I mean, now, Jeff, it's like you and I, just from dirt bikes, like, I'm pretty sure we'll probably like know each other for the rest of our lives, like,
yeah.
I know for a fact if ever out your way, I'll probably see you, dude. I'll probably throw a leg over your bike. I'll just bring my gear bag or something,
Right.
Like, that's just how it is,
Yeah.
Hey man, you eat shit on it, just fix it for me, like it's just how it works, know. It's just, so that, I think it's just getting people on those motorcycles to those tracks and to kind of see that, like, don't know who the hell you are, but you're a brother kind of a thing is super rad. And I think that's probably what a lot of us are out there, doing and advocating at the end of the day. I know that's what I am,
Yeah.
I love it. I love letting someone borrow my, try riding for the first time. It's like the coolest thing, I love it. I'm like, crash it, dude. I can fix it, man. Just let it go. If you're going to go down, let it go. Just roll out of it, dude. Just like,
tuck and roll.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, just tuck and roll, dude. Like, we'll fix the bike, So it's like, that part's really fun. And I think as I've gotten older, it's even more fun, So, but yeah, it's, I think all the points you made about the motorsport side with the competition acting out, it is. It's a percentage of all of them, man. It's a percentage of all of them, know. It absolutely is. There's no question about it. So.
All right, brother. Well, hey, we've been going for an hour and 15 minutes, if you can believe that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right. Battery's probably almost dead.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Well, hey, good talking to you. And I'll send. What's your Instagram name, Pat?
It's PLO _80.
All right. Maybe we'll get you like maybe one follower.
Hey, I'll take it, man. I'll take it. It'll go with my other 5. Perfect. Perfect, dude.
All right, buddy.
I like even numbers, so we'll get that thing to 6.
Right.
All right, cool.
Take care, bud. Have yourself a good week.
All right. You too, Jeff.
See you.
All right, bye.
So a little bit of backstory about Pat, and I'm sure that a few of you will remember, or people that have gone back and listened to some of the backstories of OTB or the back episodes. So there was a time whenever I used to ride for Spy, and I got a fucking massive offer from Von Zipper on Hook It, and I started talking to one of my buddies that works in the industry about Von Zipper, and then we were also talking about Spy at the same time, and our lines of communication got crossed, and he was telling me things about Spy that I thought he was saying about Von Zipper, and then I got on the podcast and just, blew them out and ran my mouth about VZ being, a closeout brand and how they were going to disappear, etc. But that ended up not being the case, and actually, sure as shit, our podcast went to, not only Pat, who was, the brand manager, but the guy, the guys that like operated VZ, and maybe, people at Billabong listened to our podcast, and they were like, they were like, "Oh, cool, this guy's like hyping up VZ," and then I fucking took a left turn into like completely trashing them because I thought that they were something that they weren't, and I mean, so then Pat called me and he was like, "Hey," or he sent me a message on Instagram and he's like, "Hey, dude, this is Pat. I'm the brand manager at Von Zipper. I'd like to talk to you about some of the things you said about our brand." And I was like, "Fuck, dude." So I just sent him my phone number and he called me, and I think the first time that we talked for like 3.5 hours about, maybe 20 minutes of it was him chastising me over being a fucking idiot and talking about my discount and and throwing the brand on the bus. And he was really bummed out with me. But then we ended up talking about motocross and our industry and just how tight, dirt bikes are in general, and made a good friend out of Pat. So that was kind of the story. So that's how I know Pat. I haven't met him in person yet, but we have, hundreds of mutual contacts and friends. And, solid dude. And like, I knew from my first phone call of talking to this guy that I was like, okay, this dude's on my level, in like just core aspect of being like an absolute enthusiast over the sport and just a total fan of motocross and racing and racing culture entirely. And I've wanted to have him on the show, but that episode aired in like April or May of me talking about Von Zipper the first time, and then now, and mind you, the whole story of it was like getting these deals on Hook It, only to find out that these companies were like going out of business or being bought out by somebody else or eliminating. Like Spy, from my understanding, was like at one time whenever I was sponsored by them, they were like clearing out their goggle inventory onto Hook It. So like whenever I would go to the Hook It store on Spy, everything that was on there was like a year old, 2 years old, etc. So I had a bad taste in my mouth with gear companies, brands, these companies that were like going out of business, but they were also on Hook It or like dropping rider support entirely after I'd get stoked. And then this happened with Von Zipper, where I got signed by them through Pat, and it ended up being the opposite of what I thought it was. So anyway, that's it for the 20. I already forgot which number episode it is. The 26th episode of the Over the Bars podcast. Thank you to all of our sponsors, Bar2Bar MX, Donnell's Motorcycles, Dart Town Arena, and Nick Peterson's Bike Works, and all of our Patreon subscribers. Each and every one of you, you are the reason that we are able to do this show to keep the ball rolling. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon subscriber, go to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/overthebars and pledge today, and get hyped up on motocross, and tell your friends about the show, please. That's all I ask, is just hype it up to your buds. Let them know about the show, because we're always trying to do more and keep the ball rolling. And we'll check back in a week. We try to do shows every 7 to 10 days, and I know that sometimes we might go 2 weeks or we might go 3 days in between episodes. So, and it's hard also, and I just want to say this so it's on record. It's hard for us to really like sit down and say, oh, this is going to be our schedule, because, dude, I don't know what my work schedule is until like the Wednesday before. So let's say I go into work on Wednesday. Okay, like I cannot plan for the next week until Wednesday, because it varies so much. As being a swing driver at FedEx, that's the name swing comes from swinging from route to route, because I don't have a set route. I just cover for guys that are on vacation. So it's really hard for me to just straight up, plan essentially. So, all right, my friends worldwide, international, America, and outer space, thank you for listening to the Over the Bars podcast. Just share it. Just share it. Just share it. That's all that I want is if you want to give me something for Christmas, give me a share. That's all that we're looking for. All right, I'm Jeff Crutcher. Thanks on behalf of me, our sponsors, our Patreon subscribers, and Mike Garrison, my co-host. And we'll talk to you soon.